Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to the Peace River map, Farming Simulator 19, a map made by Camille Mapping. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but I'm in the middle of canola harvest, and as we've discussed before, it's an enormous map, 25x, and maybe just to take a brief look here at we have some canola field number 48, 49, 50, and 26. Last episode, I think I left off, it was among the opening round. Maybe it was the opening cut, field number 50. And I since have completed harvesting field number 50, number 48, number 26, field number 27 and 33, which are also canola. We're a spring plant. This here was a fall plant. And so I'm kind of in the middle of harvesting field number 49. And it takes a long time. This is an enormous map, so a person needs to be patient. And I know for me, I just use the tools. Auto drive and course play really help out. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm in the middle of field 49. Actually, I think I'm still in the opening rounds. I typically go 3 times around and then back and forth to complete it. So I have my combine harvester here ready to go. There's something I wanted to talk about that's kind of a cool little mod. I don't know if others have seen it here, but it has a little HUD down here, and I maybe would try to tweak the mod a little bit to put it in a different area. It's putting some conflicting text on here, but it's called the Combine XPerience mod. I think it's made by Yumi, Yumi. I'm pretty sure it's available on the main modhub. But up here, it will have the moisture content, and as you'll see, we're at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not sure what it'll be. We'll find out here shortly when we harvest. But just like in real life, if anybody's ever driven a combine, generally there are 2 actions you do in setting the thing in motion. One involves your header, and the other involves your main threshing unit, or the separator, if you will. And obviously, you typically turn on the threshing unit first, and then you turn on your header to take in material. Matter of fact, some combines maybe force you into doing it in that order just to prevent errors. I mean, the last thing you want to do is to take material in before your threshing unit is on. That's just a recipe to clog the header. But what I like about this particular mod, I mean, it separates the two, so we'll see here in a moment we have to turn on both separately, but it gears the speed based on the size of the combine and the conditions. Here, I don't remember how big. We got a pretty big header, so it's going to know how much material is coming in. And then it also knows, kind of like I said, we're early morning, and we all know that dew tends to come on in the early morning, and I happen to have been threshing all night long just to try to get this done. And I've noticed the combine speed has kept getting slower, and I think it's because just like it would be in real life, and sometimes depending on the crop, it's impossible, or nigh unto impossible, or maybe not, maybe impossible is the wrong word. It just makes it very tough conditions if you try to thresh in the early morning hours. I know where I am, where there's a lot of grass seed harvested, you basically don't want to do it. It's so tough, and you won't thresh a lot of the seed out if it has too much dew in it. So I think this is just trying to simulate it. It forces you to do a little bit different things with your combine in terms of the order, how you turn it on, and then it's gearing it to the conditions. So let's crank on our engine here, and we'll gauge our separator. You can see it turn orange up there, and then we'll go to the header. We'll turn that on. We'll lower it, and we already have a course, so we'll get it going. And oh my, so the moisture content is pretty high. Oh, I say moisture content. I don't know that it's the moisture of what is coming into the tank. That may still be relatively low as the seed pods are somewhat protected. But the moisture of the material coming in is a 19.5%. So I suspect as the day goes on, we will see this come back down. And right now you can see we are topped out at 3 miles an hour. I don't know what this would go in real life. I've never harvested canola. I'm not really familiar with it. But 3 miles an hour based on the conditions. And I know yesterday, in-game yesterday, when I started this, it was quite a bit faster. I saw speeds 5 and 6 miles per hour based on the conditions. And you know, it's pretty cool. I know it. Right now we're taking pretty much a full swath. I know we got a little bit of overlap here, a full cut rather. But if you take just a skinny little bit, this will speed up. There's a lot of crows heading off. You know, with the in-game version, whether you take a skinny cut or a full cut, you pretty much have the same speed regardless. Well, with this mod, if you're taking a tiny cut, it will let you speed along there, you know, maybe even up to 10 miles an hour to, you know, which you could do in real life. Because really, as I understand it, you know, one of the things you want to do with a combine is to keep it full. For optimum threshing, you want to have a full separator. And so if you take it in a skinny little cut, you're only feeding your combine a tiny bit of material, and it isn't good for threshing or efficiency or that kind of thing going through. So a lot of times it is right that you would speed up to take in material to meet the capacity of the machine. So I don't know, I thought that was a cool mod. I may try to put a link in the description if I can remember when I upload this, so you can go check it out yourself. But the other thing I did, and I don't know if there's any way for me to grab the footage, but you'll notice, maybe you notice, the material coming into the combine, I guess, well, we call this, it's particle system effect. That's in the header, cutter particle system effect, if you will, and I changed it so that it matches the textures that we have on the Peace River map. I don't know if you remember from the previous video, but the canola textures that come with the game, of the foliage, are a tad lighter. And so what we were seeing was the particle systems, you know, all of these are separate files from what shows up in the combine. There's, you know, particle systems happening here. You can see particles in terms of dust coming up. There's particles and material that comes across here. Actually, it still doesn't look optimum, but that's kind of another story. There's particle systems here in dust. There's particle systems in the canola dropping into the tank. There's particle dust back here. There's particles coming out with the chopper X here coming out the back. And this is only the combine. There's many areas where the modder and the game define how these effects appear. Well, when you make a mod map and you change some of the textures, which apparently this modder chose to do, I mean, that's great and all, but when you make the change and you don't change the particle systems to match, it kind of just looks weird, and it's kind of hard to suspend reality. And I may need to change this coming out the back too, to make it just a tad darker, so that it matches kind of the way the modder has it in here. I'm gonna let this go. Maybe just real quick, what I can do is cycle through some of the equipment. I kind of like I've explained before, I'm pretty minimalist. I have a single combine going, and just so you know, I mean, this is field number 49. According to Course Play, I have a little over 5 hours to do this field. And this is his third round. This is kind of the field over here. It goes clear over there. I know on most maps, I mean, this would be a good sized field, a huge field, maybe even the largest on the map. But in terms of the Peace River map, it's, I'd say, decidedly average. Field number 50 was larger still. And so, well, kind of like I've commented sometimes, to me, Farming Sim is one of the best screensavers in the world, at least in terms of my enjoyment from it, because I don't have to do anything here. To babysit this. Course Play will take care of it. I have auto drive on this truck to haul away the grain. We already were offloaded by the tractor and overloader back here and grain wagon, so it should work like clockwork. And yeah, as soon as I say that, I know problems can happen, with Course Play. So sometimes you need to do a little bit. But just to show you what I did to change the texture, let me just pop it out of the map real quick, or out of the game. So, yeah, this kind of describes the mod I was just talking about. Inside the map files of, well, let's see here. I don't know if I could find... Yeah, I can go in here. See, there's a Peace River map. I have it unzipped, so we can go in there and take a look at it real quick. But these are all the files and folders that make the Peace River map go. And if you go in the maps folder, this is where you get the i3D file that you can open in the editor and change things around, if you will. And there's all these XML files that define certain things that go on in the map. So to show you one of those, map US XML, it's called up, so it has all these different things. This is where it says, hey, here's where the main map i3D file is. And there's a lot of these things that I don't know what it does, but if the modder wants to leave things the way the Giants have them, what they do is there's this dollar data. They put something in there that they basically refer to how the Giants have it set up. And this is, you'll find this location on the hard drive where the game is installed. So what you're telling the game to do is, hey, just use the main stuff the Giants created. Here's a location where it is. Go find it, and so forth. But if the mapper wants to change something, like evidently they did here, they create their own new XML file, if you will. And then they put new effects or whatever in there. And I would say, by and large, probably what happens in most instances, the mapper would take the setup from an existing map, one of the ones that came with the game, and then they would tweak it based on what they want to do. And even if they do change something, such as the environment, they probably start with what the Giants had, and then they modify it to their desire. So what I did to get to the point on this here, when we're talking particle systems, so this was the original line that the mapper had in here, and you'll see it's dollars data. Particle systems, cutter effect. Well, cutter effect is exactly what's going to show in the header of our combine when it's cutting the crop. So what he told them to do was say, hey, take the Giants' existing cutter effects and go ahead and use it. Well, kind of like we've discussed, the problem with that is the foliage in the original Giants cutter effect material holder is based on different files. It's based on the ones that come with the game, not on the ones that the modder used. So what I did is I deactivated it in the XML, but I copied the whole thing over from the hard drive. And this here I'm putting in here. This is kind of where I put it in the Peace River map directories, the whole thing. And then I opened this i3D file and I said, hey, everything in here is okay, but I want to go to a different canola canola foliage effect. So that would be up here. This is opening the i3DE file, and everything in here is pointing to the giant stuff except for the canola. And this is a directory in the map where it happens to be. And so really it's pretty simple changing the pointer to the file that I wanted to look at. And what's the difference? Let's just look at it here real quick. This is a foliage file, if you will, of canola, and I'm not smart enough to be able to articulate all these. I mean, a texture artist could. What I do know, just being a dummy and looking at this, is, well, when the crop is young, probably this is a first growth stage, it's going to use this section of the texture. When it grows a little bit taller, the second or third stage, it's going to use this up here. When it flowers, it's going to use this section here. When it's ready to harvest, it's going to use the section over here, if you can see my cursor going. When it's overripe or withers, it's going to be on this far right-hand side. So a modder wanting to have their own textures, what they probably do is they start with this, which is, you probably can't tell just looking at this, that it comes from the game directory. What they would do is it would start with this and they would modify it somehow. Maybe they totally replace the plants, totally replace it in here. Maybe they just color it a little bit differently. So now let's see what the Peace River map guy did, and you'll see the difference. Okay, do you see that? Let me toggle back. So you can kind of see he made it darker, and he totally changed the plants over here. These are fundamentally different. The yellow is a little duller, isn't quite as bright as with the green, and the leaves look a little different. So how the guy made it or where he got it, haven't a clue. But it appears that the harvestable part and the part for when it withers over here is identical, at least in terms of look. What he did with it is he colored it slightly, or he made it just a little bit darker. So what we were seeing previously is the particle system uses this file just like the map does. When the map grows canola, it's going to do it according to this here. But then the particle effect is going to grab, and I wish I knew how this worked. I don't know, for example, how the i3D file tells or says, hey, I want to use this section of the picture or the texture for the particle system effect. How it knows to grab here rather than over here, where it's flowering or whatever. That part I don't know. Maybe someone else listening to this would know kind of how that works. The point is the mod author changed how it appears in the map to this, so slightly different colors. So rather than have the particle system based on this lighter one, we changed it so now it is based on this darker setup. So we'll go back in game here. We'll give it just a second to refresh. And, oh yeah, just kind of cutting it off here. Or starting on the back and forth. So you see we no longer have, I think it was kind of this color over here, this higher yellow color. That's why I say I may want to modify this as well. Although in order to modify this one, it was easy enough to change this, because this, in the cutter effect, uses the same texture file that this whole field is based on. The chopper effect over here, I think, is something different, so I would have to do some work, I think, in paint on it to kind of color it so that it's a little bit darker. But I don't know. I mean, it may work that way too. I just like it incoming a little bit, because now it's a little bit easier to suspend reality, if you will. Makes it look a little realer when you look down at the header and what's coming in matches how it looks in the field. So that makes me happier. I'm kind of curious to see where the tractor is that's offloading this. He's trying to figure out what line to go on. Yeah, he's kind of just whistling Dixie over here. Actually, quite a ways away. Yeah, he's kind of clear on the other side of the field. Yeah, so hopefully at some point here our tractor, oh, he's woke up. So one of the settings I have here on I gotta remember where it is, on course play, which tries to simulate reality, and now where is it here? Somewhere. Yeah, these are the percentages. Automatic. Maybe it's in advanced. Okay, oh, it is over here. Avoid fruit. So, and this is where course play has really grown over the years and improved as a mod. We can see the tractor. It may take its sweet time getting over here, but props for avoiding the fruit, meaning it isn't driving over the crop over here. And the reason it was activated, and it did, is our combine over here, the pipe now is out of the fruit. We just toggle over there real quick. Obviously the tractor can come by here and offload, but when the combine was coming the other way, the pipe would have been out in the fruit, so our tractor isn't going to come and just offload it. So it makes it a little less efficient for the tractor to come over and do that, but I mean, in real life you have kind of that same dynamic, so it's kind of a good effect. So, oops. So he'll eventually come over here, and as he's doing now, get it offloaded. So let me go back to the map. He's going to save real quick. Like I say, I got 50 harvested. This all took place mainly at night. I'm kind of on the middle of summer, if you will, and I think I need to keep things moving. When you only have one combine, there's a lot of acres to cover and all this green, and then in the fall, this up here, this is going to be corn. There's a lot to do, so I need to keep him moving. But since the last time, harvested this, and this, field 1, 8, and 12. I think those were already planted. I put fertilizer on them, and I think I sprayed them for weeds. So we should be good to go for harvest. Yeah, my fields are weed free. And I don't really have aggressive weeds at the moment. I'd be curious to know how other people have played this. I know, let me get off of there. There are some settings in here for crop damage, weed intensity, and I don't know that I've messed with these. So probably, I think the higher this number, the more weeds you have. Crop damage is probably, that must be other weather related damage, maybe more likely to have freeze damage. I probably should crank those things up just to make it tougher. I mean, it's been pretty easy if you get out here. I mean, I have 5.5 million at the bank. My money problems are basically over with. Like I say, I'm minimalist on my machinery. I haven't invested in a lot of stuff, so it's pretty easy to make bank, with the way the game works. Something else I would love to change, but I haven't been able to figure out a way to do it. It's this playing on carpet. I would just love to have that different, but I can't. I know when you lime the field before the next crop or whatever, that it somehow has this effect. When you get down to the stubble, I don't know that I can't really tell. Yeah, fortunately with the stubble over, or the crop over here, you don't really see it. But it's really annoying. I talked a little bit earlier about suspending reality, and this kind of makes it difficult, and I don't know why the pattern is that way. It's, to make a really good pattern, and I'm not saying I know how to do it, it basically doesn't appear to be a pattern when you're done with it. It's kind of like looking at, because somewhere there's a texture file that describes how this is supposed to look, and that swirl in there that's recurring. But I mean, just like in here, there is also a file that describes how canola is supposed to look. And if you look at this one is pretty good. There is no discernible pattern, but I guarantee you there is. If you sat here long enough, you could probably pick it out somehow, possibly. But in the map files or in the Giants files somewhere, there is a texture that says, here's what canola looks like. And then what the game does is, this square right here might be that texture. Next to it will be the same texture again and again and again until it maps over the whole area, that it needs to cover for whatever material is sitting in this bank out wagon here. So it works fabulously on the fill planes, on the canola, if you will, in here. It looks great if you look at the foliage over here, because I mean, this is all one file used over and over and over. But you look at the ground and wonder what in the world is going on. Why is it there? And for the life of me, I'm not sure where it is. Maybe someone else looking at this, if they have modding experience, maybe they've dealt with this before, would be able to share, just where those files are to, like, get rid of the carpet effect. Because that is not how a canola field, a harvested canola field, looks like in real life. I can guarantee it. Even though, like I say, I have no experience, with canola. That hasn't been my experience farming, but I'm sure you don't see a recurring pattern like that. So if someone knows where to fix it at, that would be awesome. I would love to fix it. Kind of like we fixed the foliage, how it appears in the Combine header. And I don't know, is that how you guys play this too? I know once you have a little experience modding, it's like you can't help but get annoyed by some certain things, especially if you know how they could be done or how to fix them. I know for me, a lot of times, eventually when I get bothered enough, I'll just rip them open and try to fix something that I'd like to have look just a little bit differently. And I mean, no disrespect to the modder or whatever. They, yeah, especially those of a map. I mean, there is so much to do in creating a map. you can't even think of all the possible areas where your mod may be broken without, you know, an inordinate amount of testing. Uh, but but yeah, sometimes there's a lot of times when I'm playing, I'll just rip a mod open to try to fix something going on. And our combine there is just crawling. Look at it. Yeah, a whopping 2 miles an hour. 0, 1. Yeah, I think the I think the basic message here is, you know, we shouldn't be out here combining at this time of day at 7:30. There's a heavy dew on, and we are working the stuffing out of our combine to get it out here and do this. So, but just to cycle through what I have going here on this big map, these other tractor trailer units, they're sitting here silent now. I do have a ton of canola in the bins, but I have nothing else. I think last time the trucks were busy hauling dried corn to market, and they completed that, turned it into money for me. So I have a tiny dab of wheat. Really, everything I have is canola. That's also last year's harvest. So need to haul that to market, and I think probably when I'll try to do the ad is going to be based on the seasons mod here. I'm right at the bottom. And you know, I got plenty of money, so I mean I could sell it now and everything would be fine. But I don't know. I think I'd like to climb this mountain, and it appears where it's late fall, early winter is kind of where the best pricing will be. So that's probably something I can do later on in the year. Probably starting somewhere right about out in here. There's going to be a ton to haul, so I'll get that hauled off to market at that time, sometime after harvest as we head into winter. So right now they're just sitting there, and there's my sprayer unit just sitting there doing nothing. Pick up, repair tools. I think my combine is getting low on diesel. At some point I'll need to haul some out there to them to keep them going. This here is just my, I'm back out in the field. The combine's harvesting over here. I'm using auto drive kind of in conjunction with, actually, you know what, I'm gonna send him off. Using auto drive in conjunction with course play, the offloader from the combine comes over here to empty it into the truck trailer. So he's gonna haul it over to our bin storage at the main farm while I'm out here just combining away. I'll just continue cycling through. Most of this just sitting here. I got the big button here for some maintenance. It's the longest maintenance I could get. I got a mod in there to deal with that. 36 hours, 33 minutes. So over a day left. They're doing some heavy duty work in here to keep the machine going. I always try to, after I've used it heavily, to give it some TLC so we can keep using it. And the same goes for everything else I have too. So, alright, so yeah, this is pretty cool. This was a new addition to course play where when the combine is in the fruit, or when the pipe is in the fruit, when it gets full, it pulls out of the cut, or sometimes even creates a special cut just to make room for the offloader to come by, like they're doing right now, where this isn't smashing any of the crop. Now, it isn't totally perfect. We'll maybe see here when it gets empty to see how he gets back into the cut. I've noticed sometimes the offloading unit, it's like it doesn't see the combine or something there, and sometimes the tube will tangle a little bit badly. And that's where you maybe need to, yeah, okay, this is good. He's backing up. I have seen it before where he pulls ahead and yeah, it can make a disaster. But I gotta say, that's a pretty cool touch. That course play built that in, versus before, what they would do is he would just pull alongside and he would drive over the top of the crop. And of course, with course play, I think I have the damage turned off so that he isn't going to do that, but it still looked just kind of hokey. If you want to play with a little bit of realism, you just don't want to have your offloader or driving over the top of the crop. And let's see, as he recount the time, oh my word. I think earlier this was 5 hours. Here it's saying 10, which I think it would be a 1 and 2 miles an hour. Oh yeah, it's changing dynamically quite a bit. So we're going to be at this for a while. And like I say, a lot of times when I'm playing this, I just check on it periodically while it does its thing. And I just pretend I'm a tycoon businessman owning a farm, and I have an army of employees doing the work, and I just collect the money and make the bank. Anyway, thank you so much for spending a little time here. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye for now.